Good morning, everyone. Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm your host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. I also won awards. I think, I did mention 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I did. But as always, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem. And especially on this platform, Blackalicious. What's up, Ryan Knight?
Well, yes. Good to see you, Dr. Vibe. For those that don't know who Ryan Knight is and have not seen me in a minute, I'm hoping my internet is better.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge last time.
A disaster. So
disaster.
I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in, and then help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. I am an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So go into people's houses, their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And for the people asking me, well, what is this plant-based thing? Shout out to Fred and Janet Cox from Liquid Green Products that produce our plant-based cleaning supplies.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm happy to be here. One thing I did want to say, thank you to you, Dr. Vibe. Always keeping me kind of grounded and having somebody to talk to. And thank you for the invite to the mastermind lunch that we had.
CEO Global Network. Yeah.
That was, I'm still using my notes from that meeting to improve my business. So
we have to do a download of that conversation. Yes. I don't know. I don't know when we're going to do that, but let's okay. Before we get into anything more, we got to family. Next week, we're doing some stuff next week for something coming up. So let's do this.
Yes.
Yeah. Next week. Coming up next week on the Morning Vibe, we'll be talking to some of the restaurants involved with BuyBlacks.com Restaurant Week Spring Edition, what's happening on between May 15th and May 23rd. So check us out next Monday and next Friday. Go in reverse order. Monday, next Friday. Nice. Also, for more information, go to buyblacks.com/restaurant week. Not restaurant week, should just be restaurant week. Let me correct that. Not just it should be just restaurant week, not restaurantweek.com.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes.
Okay, let's get it. Let's do it right. Oh, it didn't show up. Let's go. Let's do it. There we go. Restaurant Week. That's where you need to go.
Yes.
So that's happening next week. Yeah, we've had so many friends come on lately. We haven't had time to chat, but that Tuesday conversation, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And more of that needs to happen. So that's one thing that's just been ringing in my head.
Well, and just to tell people a little bit of, there's an organization called CEO Global Network founded by a gentleman named John Wilson, who's 81 years old. He's non-melanated. I'm going to put right out there. And he he founded the company when he was 67.
Right.
And what it is it's a organization that does mentorship of personal and professional, of CEOs and high level entrepreneurs. So I've attended a few of their conversations. This is actually the third one I attended that Tuesday, but this one was a nice intimate luncheon held by one of their team members, just Scott. Can't remember his last name now. Scott.
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Scott and Mike. I just remember Scott and Mike.
Yeah, Scott and Mike held it, and
Yes.
it was a really good conversation, and so many.
The topic was around like HR and talent, and
well, finding and retaining good talent, and
right.
there were some pretty heavy hitters at this table. I mean, really some heavy hitters. Scott Ray from CEO Global Network, and one of the gentlemen. We won't give away company names, but he is the COO of a very high-ranking Toronto media organization.
Yes.
And he was and he's sitting right across from Ryan, and he was telling that they were looking for someone in a high-ranking position. They did everything, and at the last moment, the person backed out.
Yes.
And he was sharing with everyone at the tables of what did we do wrong?
Right.
What did we do wrong? And but there were so many great stories. And interesting enough, there was one lady attending this event, Janice Bartley from Foodpreneur Lab, and I made sure that before we all left, that she had a chance to share the recent award that she received from Restaurants Canada.
Right. Yes.
And I've even posted the pictures of us attending it, but and I think one of the common themes that Ryan and I left is saying, how come we're not doing this in the melanated community? What is it going to get all of us at tables really sharing the good and not so good, some of the challenges and some of the wins that we are going through?
Where so we can learn from each other. Like the sharing of notes just amplifies each person.
Like just the amount I learned from that session. Wow. And there was another gentleman who he's been running this company for a number of years. He had one of his executives who's been working with him for 10 years who lost his mother, father, and his dog within a period of 6 months.
Yes, like a short.
And then started having a little bit of an abuse issue with alcohol, and how they managed to transition him. How they had to handle that situation, and they had to eventually let him go, but he eventually got a job with one of their competitors. But those stories were, so I'm challenging us. This is me too.
Yes.
Why can't we do those sort of things?
And that's what we talked about. It's like, what can we do to now, instead of just talking about, oh, why isn't this happening in our community? We can actually put something together and say, at least on a certain cadence, getting a few business owners together to learn from each other.
Well, you know what, Ryan? We're going to discuss this offline. You and I are just going to start it.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah.
No, you and I are just going to start it.
Yes.
You and I are just going to start it. But I will tell people out there, and Ryan knows the gentleman he sat across, him and I have had already a deep dive meeting.
Okay,
conversation.
Great. Yes.
So there could be some potential outside of that, but but that was incredible. And actually the CEO Global got to fully hail you up about a week before that in Cambridge. They have their events at really nice places. I think it's the Cambridge Golf and Country Club. Wow. There were about 100 people there, and they had a gentleman who was a former VP from Volvo share for 4 hours about leadership and teams. Next level. And actually too, what I'm going to do, and our friend that's coming on today, Mr. Harris, next time they have a free event, I'm going to actually invite Wayne Harris too. I'm going to invite certain groups of melanated people who I respect and respect me to these events, because that's the air that I want to share with people. But that like my tablet that's here, which we're going to go on Instagram Live in a few minutes, that was just huge stuff. There's so much stuff going on this week, and I know I know. Well, we can talk about Ebony K. Williams. That's a whole other conversation. And it looks like we're going to get some good weather finally.
Yes. Okay.
Especially
The
for
rain has been lingering.
especially for detailing Knight's business.
Thank you very much. Exactly.
And this last week has not been detailing Knight's weather.
Exactly. Oh man. But you roll with the punches, right? That it turns into administration days. Those are days we got to get our books and stuff in order, prepare, and
Absolutely.
sell.
All right. So as always, before we jump any further, hey, if you're up to it, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you do, subscribe, hit the notification button, like it on Facebook, wherever you're watching this, like and share. Like and share, not only digitally, but verbally. And Ryan, I'm so disappointed you didn't catch Terry Johnson last week talking about AI and business. Wow.
Yes.
And then you weren't with us for Dr. Tachi. Oh. So just a little update, folks. Dr. Tachi's network is launching, soft launch. It's scheduled for June 13th. And you'll see some of the Dr. Vibe Show stuff and the Morning Vibe Show stuff on that network.
Love it. Looking forward to that. Yes.
So let's get caught because a lot of people said hello. So let's say good morning to Fitnance IQ Cam. We'll get you on a second, Wayne. Mr. Celebrity. Yeah, you're talking about Ryan, right? Fitnance. Good. She's feeling under the weather, but you'll saw absolutely because you were born to win. You were not born to lose. Christopher Lawrence, what's going on? Thank you. Christopher Lawrence saying congrats and advice, Roger. Yep. He also says happy Friday. Good morning, Mark Lewis. I've got to reach out to you. I hope I have an email address for you, Mr. Lewis. If not, I'll find a way of getting it. Neil Erskine. Yes. Frequency of Untrust says, yes, we can. Yes. Fitness IQ Cam, a central spot with free parking. All right. Divine Right says, good Friday, happy Friday, everyone. Greetings, Dr. Vibe, and the one and only Gala King. Gala King is waiting for something from you, Divine Right. What are you waiting
please
for?
And thank you. Cap and gown. I was told that a gown might be coming or a cape.
Okay. All right.
If you want me to show up correct, I'm ready.
Yes, support Black charities. Good morning and good morning to well, pile you in here this one. Love it. Christopher says, I'm melanated too and respect you, Dog Vibe. Where's the invite to the mastermind? So someone wants to get in on it. Okay.
Boom.
And Jubella Orion, excited to listen to Wayne. Well, obviously, then we don't need to be here if you're excited to listen to Wayne. And Divine Right says, me and Tati are going to meet and work on something. Ask and you shall receive. Love it. Shared. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Well, for those who don't know, every Friday, first Friday of the month, we have Wayne Harris with us. And long story short, I've known Wayne for at least 30 years. And he's the real deal. He's the real deal. Oh, one other quick thing I want to mention. Yesterday I was at this event, Social Media and Young Minds. I did a short Instagram live on it yesterday. That was held by Dove Men Care, and it was highlighting the good and the not so good impact that social media is having on a lot of young minds.
Right.
And it was a Dove event to address a youth mental health crisis, hosted by Tracy Moore. Big fan of big ups to Tracy Moore. Here's a little trivia event. Before she was on City, I actually co-hosted an Ontario Black History Month event with her.
Okay.
So
I love it.
Now, for those who don't know, I do a lot of stuff both with fatherhood and manhood, fatherhood. And I go to this event, 90% women. And the thing that I was just a little disappointed about the event, all the panelists were women.
But it was talking more youth in general, not just
small. It was focusing more on girls.
On girls, okay, right.
And then the gentleman who was with me who runs Dad Central Ontario, he asked the question, what can dads do?
That's a great question.
If he didn't ask that,
right,
no one would have mentioned it. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And also,
Right.
if you follow Wayne Harris on Instagram, which you should, he put up a very interesting post about comparisons with men and women in regards to life expectancy, a number of different things. You need to take a look at that post. It was really good. And actually, I'm going to give Wayne his shine. Actually, before he comes on, I'm going to definitely see if I can pull up the post.
Right.
Well, I can at least verbalize it. Let me just see messages. Okay, I'm gonna give it. Okay, Wayne. Yeah, he said okay. So he reposted something by someone called Gino Goblin. Death in battle: men 97.7%, women 2.3%. Workplace death: men 93%, women 7%. Homelessness: women 62%. No, men 62%, women 38%. College grads: men 40%, women 60%. Uh, Winner of custody: men 17.8%, women 82.2%. Life expectancy: men 79.1 years, women 83.4. Homicide: men 77.4, women 22.6. So something to think about. Maybe so you know what? So I've given him his intro. Oh, and Jebelo says, "Oh yeah, he is. Me, Wayne is the real deal." And also, good morning to Trevor Dunlap. So without further ado, uh, people want this guy on, so let's bring him on, Mr. Wayne Harris.
Hey, good day, good
Good
day.
morning. How's everybody
Good
doing?
morning, Wayne. How are you?
Doing well.
Good stuff. You were sharing some successes. I don't know, with the family. If you want to share, you're comfortable too. If not, we can just get it.
Yes. So one of the things we learn is that the speed of the team is determined by the speed of the leader.
Yep.
And as it relates to my children, or our children, myself and Angie, Jenna just graduated from McMaster University with a bachelor's degree in engineering, biomedical engineering, and engineering physics minor, and got into her master's program at McMaster, and has her research ready for September. And my son Jordan decided he's going to go back to school, and he got into York for a master's of economics, and he's going to be a TA at York next year. So he's also going to postgraduate studies. So 2 kids firing on all cylinders is amazing. I'm very proud of them.
Congratulations.
Love that. Congrats, brother.
Congratulations. Well done is better than well said, right? Absolutely. And Fitness IQ says nice. Also, Dr. Tachi says, "What you talking about, Willis? What we doing for Ryan?" So I think Dr. Tachi missed the earlier bit. And also Dr. Tachi says, "Hello, go catch her on Wednesdays. She does a great conversation called Mediascope, the best, all about media, tech, and pop culture. 5 p.m. Eastern time on Instagram Live, and then 6 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook, all these other different platforms." So, Wayne Harris, you wanted to chat about another great subject today. You wanted to chat about our relationship with bank, our relationship with money, and how to change it.
Yes.
Where do you want to start with this conversation?
Well, we've had this discussion before, or I've heard it from other speakers before, that we get our financial IQ starts with our parents, and then we get nothing from school from K to 12, and then we go out into the wilderness with that knowledge, and we hope for the best. So, by the time we get to about 24, 25, we have 1 or 2 cell phone companies trying to ruin our credit or ruining our credit. We have 1 or 2 store cards. Back in the day, for me, it was a company that rhymed with the day. I had one of those cards, and it was charging me big interest, and I decided I just wasn't going to pay because I was that guy at that time. And then it was time to buy a house, and I looked at my credit, and I went, "What happened here?" And that was because of my missteps along the way. So what is your relationship with money? It's a question I want to ask the panel. And where did you learn that relationship from? I learned it from my parents, who were savers, Canada saving bond buyers, and no risk, no risk, no risk. If I could have any chance of losing money, I'm not doing it. So I really didn't discover the stock market until I was well into my adult years, because no one who looked like me or had my last name was doing anything in the stock market or the mutual fund market. Is it the same for everybody else on here?
Well, I'll start with myself. My dad say, but he didn't teach me anything other than that. Just, he would be the type. He was the type of person. He would put like a sign: make sure you turn the light off when you leave the room. And he's still sort of like that. Save. But he didn't teach me the fundamentals of finances. Like I came out of school naked, knowing nothing, and I made some of those choices that, and even I'll be totally open here. One of my relatives passed away and left me money, and I got it at a certain age, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I could have handled it better, really, but I had no knowledge. So that's a little bit about me. Ryan?
It's interesting because I don't remember any teaching moments. So, or even just conversations around the dinner table, only when it came to spending money. So I remember having a paper route since I was 9. So by the time I was teens, there was some money in the bank account. So talking about spending it was really the only time we talked about money. And it's usually, no, you can't spend it on that stuff, or, okay, here's $5 allowance. But understanding maybe that money should have been invested, or it was just sitting in a bank account. So never really talked about what to do with the money other than keeping me from spending it was really the only conversations that I remember at the dinner table,
You know what? I just want to add to what you're just saying, Ryan. I wish that 25% more conversations were about finances and maybe a little bit less about education. Like, I know education was important, but
it's like part of it. Like,
it's part of it.
Talking about education, it should be included.
Somehow, well-rounded education.
Separate. Yeah.
But the financial part, and even up to today, my dad never really shares a lot about it. I'm just going, so if education was way up here and financial, like, it just wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're probably in good company. I don't know what the comments are coming in right now, what you're seeing in the chat, but I'm assuming that most people from the diaspora are coming at money from the perspective of scarcity. Meaning
okay, actually, there are some comments here. So Fitness IQ Cam was saying, I was fortunate to learn about making my money making my money stretch. And she also says, I wish investing was part of the discussion as well. Absolutely. So there's some more people.
Okay, there you go. So what we're hearing is there's again, this is a very small sample. We only have a number of people on here, but I would hazard to guess that most people from a West Indian culture whose parents came to Canada to make a better life for themselves, chances are they weren't having a great life where they were. Most people. So let's do the 80-20 rule. 80% of the people who emigrated to Canada weren't really crushing it economically back home, because if you're crushing it economically back home, why would you leave? So you're coming to Canada and coming to America for better opportunities from a West Indian perspective. For those of us who were born in Canada, multiple generations, or born in the United States, multiple generations, then you have to look at your family, and the word that comes to mind is identity. What is your family's identity as it relates to money and the accumulation of wealth? So I'll ask you two, since you're right in front of me. Dr. Vibe, your father was focused on not burning through the cash. How about your family, Ryan?
Big time savers, similar to what Dr. Vibe was saying. I would say my mom was more so the financial steward and like putting in place like how to save, and that helped us like get from apartment on Keelan Wilson to a house in Brampton to a bigger house in Brampton. So I would say it bared its fruit. Like it was great results, but now there was never talk of investment along the way. So it's save, 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 get a home, save, 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 get a bigger home, and now okay, you've hit the pinnacle. There's no like next level, but the conversation of money really has stopped now.
Fair enough.
Okay, we're going to be going on live on Instagram Live, but I'll mirror that with Ryan. But it seems we're getting some people getting involved in the conversation here. Fitnet says, I taught my folks. She taught her folks, especially her mother, about investing, was in the verge of having an investment club.
Okay.
Divine Right says, when I was accepted to college, I learned more about student loans versus grants, scholarships, etc. And as I was graduating, I had credit card debt. Teaching my son now, it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay, so what we're hearing is the information is scarce at best, and our parents weren't aware of many of the financial mechanisms and tools that were available to them. And what I've learned is when people are confused, they slow down. They don't speed up. You don't know where you're going in a car, you slow down. And no one's doing 120, 130 kilometers per hour when you don't know where you're going. You take the back roads and you start looking at signs and you pull over, put on your hazards, and you figure it out. Same thing with money. People who don't know what they're doing are going to default to the lowest risk options available to them, which are your saving accounts. And some of you might be daring enough to go to a high interest saving account, which might pay 1%, 2%, or 3%. But as you know, in Canada and the United States, the rate of inflation is north of 5%. So to all of you who follow your parents' path of lowest risk, you're losing money every month. Your money is in the bank because you're not beating or meeting the rate of inflation. So if the rate of inflation in Canada right now is 5.3%, last I checked, you have to have money in the bank making at least 5.3% in order to make zero return. Right. It's only after 5.3 that you're going to make any money. Most people, based on what I've seen in my travels across this country, talking to people, most people are afraid of taking that risk because they don't understand it. Would you say that's fair?
Well, and I'm going to build on that, Ray. I'm not Wayne. That our parents never taught us that. So and I love what you said. When you're not certain, you slow down, and it's even more challenging. You slow down and you don't know where to turn to. So you stay in your cocoon. And I'll be 100% honest. I didn't really understand about leveraging till a number of years ago. Because I heard it. I didn't know how to do it. I saw other people were doing it, and I said, is there any room for me to leverage my value, my capital, my assets? Right. I had no idea.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about leverage. And leverage is basically using other people's money to grow your own money. And that's what banks do with mortgages. Mortgages are leverage. They lend you money so you can go buy a house. Sorry, my Rogers, man. I won't even lie. It's terrible. Terrible. All week I've been struggling with my internet. So if I go down, let me know.
No problem.
But I want you to think about you getting a mortgage. The bank is leveraging, right? When you put your money in the bank can lend that dollar somewhere up to 100 times. So 100 people get your dollar. Now, if you did that and said, I'm going to give you a promissory note, people will say, hey, what's this racketeering? But if the bank does it, the banking it's fractional banking. It's fine. They can take your dollar and leverage it multiple times as long as they have the level of reserves required should the original lenders want their money. And if you think about the United States, the banks that are failing are the ones who have the lowest reserves.
Yes, regional banks.
Right.
Wayne, I just want to stop because a whole pile of comments just flew in. A whole pile. So this is good. Yeah, and people need to just get their energy up, but when you're on, they're coming. So first on Instagram, I want to Shout out to Frequency of Own Promotions, who's watching us on Facebook and on Instagram Live. Optimized Training, hello, hello. So we're broadcasting on Instagram Live for a little bit, but if you want to catch the full live conversation with myself, Ryan Knight, and Wayne Harris, who's talking about our relationship with money and how to change it, jump over to the YouTube end. Now the comments, man, they're flying in. I'm already telling you, do you have a little bit of time for bonus time today? Because I already know what's happening. Okay, so Hayden Morrison, welcome as always. He said, literally God's grace in the school of hard knocks. I think that's many of us, school of hard knocks. Fitnat says, I'm really trying to educate my friends with kids to consider investing as well. Not the quick scheme, though.
True.
Christopher Lawrence says, to be honest, I think investing is a good thing, but I've always heard some bad stories about stocks and mutual funds. Not sure why that is. So, Wayne, do you want to just talk about that for a moment?
Sure. So when you buy a stock, you're buying a fractional piece of the company. You're buying equity in the company. You're buying a piece of ownership of the company. And as the company goes, you may share in what they call a dividend, which is profit sharing. After all bills are paid, everybody's paid, there's still money left over. They can invest some of that money into buying more equipment or buying more inventory and products. But if they've done all that and there's still money left over, they disperse some of those profits to the shareholders, and you have a share of the company, and you will make money that way. So they're dividend paying stocks, and stocks are a fractional piece of the company. The more stock that's out there, the less each stock is worth, the less shares that are out there. Usually the more the stock can be worth. And this is a great way for you to tie your fortunes to the fortunes of some of the favorite companies that you know and want to invest with. A mutual fund is a basket of stocks, and the basket can contain stocks from around the world, around one industry, or around multiple industries, or from one or two countries. And that basket is made by a portfolio manager, and she puts different companies in and out based on a level of risk for the investor. So there are very, very conservative mutual funds, just like they're very conservative stocks. They're very, very they're medium or balanced mutual funds, and they're medium stocks that don't really move a whole lot. And then there's super aggressive stocks and super aggressive mutual funds that can return. One of them from Fidelity returned 92% during COVID. So you can make a lot of money if you know where to be at the right time. And we can talk about how you can do that in a safe way. And one of those things is called dollar cost averaging. And dollar cost averaging says that no matter what, every month you just buy the same amount of the fund, come hell or high water. When it goes up in value, you're buying something that's going up in value. When it goes down in value, you're buying good things at a cheaper price. Over time, by being disciplined and buying periodically every month, over time, that strategy has proven to de-risk your investment portfolio significantly. So you're not trying to time the market, you're just always in the market. And people who are always invested in the market win significantly over those who try to time the market and come in when they think it's going to go back up.
Right. So just so with people, when you see, especially these tech companies, for a perfect example, Facebook, why are they laying people off? Because they got stockholders that they've got to satisfy. And I think the most recent revenue report from Facebook, revenue went up like 70% compared to the last. So if you are angry at these companies, invest in them. At least you're going to get,
Well, that happened with Shopify. They announced they're laying off 20% and their stocks soared.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Who are they really beholden to, right?
Exactly. So, as Earth, Wind, and Fire said, that's the way of the world. So, put some money into it. So just want to shout out some people on Instagram. Ciron416, longtime family friend. Paulie Lopez, legendary music man in the Toronto area. Nice. And Jill Jones, who's on Saturday nights with
Lala.
Aisha and Lala. Check out that conversation. JN Gizmo Books. Hey, what's up? So we're just broadcasting a little bit here on IG Live. If you want to get your full conversation, go over to YouTube. And also Elemental Notes, who is in the top one, listed as one of the top 100 women entrepreneurs in Canada, and hopefully get into the top 5 competition. Hey, what's up? What's up?
Nice.
Yes. So now
I'm taking my elderberry each day. Thank
yeah,
you,
I am too.
Notes. Yes.
I'm doing the elderberry. All right, next. So we're going to bonus time today, folks. So it's flying here. Next thing up,
settle in.
Yes, get comfortable. Macmillan Groups. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, everyone. Caribbean parents fall into 2 categories: those leaving poverty, and then there is the educated middle class, mainly from Jamaica and Guyana, who migrated as crime. I guess he has some more to write. I guess we're going to get to that. Do you want to say anything about that comment, Wayne? I guess you would agree with it.
I agree with that. Again, when you can't water your own grass, you look for grass on the other side, right? And a lot of people who were coming from the Caribbean, my parents came from Barbados, they were in a category of West Indians who couldn't afford to pay for high school. So in the Caribbean, at that time, in the 1940s, 1950s, you had to write exams to get into high school. And if you passed those exams, you could get in, but then you had to pay for high school, which guaranteed that the poor would stay poor and the rich would stay rich. 1959, I believe, in Barbados, Barrow, the prime minister, said, listen, if you're smart enough, you can go. Don't worry about the costs. If you're smart enough, you can go. And it changed the game for a lot of people in Barbados. Unfortunately, my parents were beyond the age of that policy helping them. So they had to look to emigrate. And at the time, the United States was going through the civil rights movement, and blacks were not willing to do the type of work that my father was willing to do and make US dollars to do it. So he got on a boat and went to Florida and started doing the work that today most people who look like us don't do, but people who come from Latin America do.
Yes.
Okay, and he started there as a migrant laborer in Florida and worked his way up through the Carolinas until he met my mother in New York. And she was working as a cosmetologist. So she's doing hair and nails and all those kind of things in New York. And Canada had a program that they were allowing West Indian women, just as they would let black men come into Canada to be porters on the train, they were allowing West Indian women to come in as domestics.
Yep.
She came in as a domestic and was working for a doctor in one of the wealthier neighborhoods in Montreal. He sponsored her. She married my father. And that's why we ended up in Montreal and not in New York. Otherwise, I'd be an American today. Because they got married in 1962. And I'm born in 66. I could have been an American. I could have been a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with my parents. My dad was going to Howard University.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And he graduated with an economics degree.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
His girlfriend, which became his wife, which became my mother, she was working as a nurse at Oshawa General Hospital.
Right.
And they had not seen each other since they left Jamaica. He came up here and she said, honey, when I finish school, I'll come and live in the United States. Him as a black man said, I'm going to come to Canada.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the only job he could get with his economics degree was sweeping floors at a Dominion.
Right.
Yep.
If anyone knows the corner of Lawrence and Bathurst, the northeast corner, there used to be a Dominion store there.
Okay.
That was his first job in Canada with an economics degree from Howard University.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
And then she paid for him to go to teachers college.
Exactly.
So Wayne's story and my story, very similar. Very similar, because both of us could have been Americans. And no offense to the American viewers, I'm glad I'm on this side of the border right now.
I think it worked out okay for us on this side of the border.
I ain't regretting. So
although I love the Brooklyn accent.
Okay. Trevor says, greetings, Dr. Vibe. It's always a pleasure. You're very pleased to be part of this extremely important conversation with Mr. Harris. Okay.
He's a good man coming in from Ottawa. Shout out to the 613.
Yeah. Hayden says, by the way, parents can't teach what they don't know. We fully agree.
Valid.
You know?
1,000%, Hayton. And what I want to say about that is this: we come from a generation. I'm a Gen X. I missed Boomer by 2 years, but as a Gen X, I am more than willing to have a conversation with Dr. Vibe and Ryan to help me close a blind spot in my life. So if Ryan knows something about detailing cars, I'm gonna go to Ryan and say, hey, Ryan, I'm washing my car. I don't want to do it with water, but I can't be coming to you every week. It would be nice if I came to you every week to wash my car. But when I'm doing it myself, how do I use less water or whatever so I can keep it ready? And then you do the seasonal detailing for me, yada, yada, yada. I can learn from Ryan. I can come to Dr. Vibe and say, Dr. Vibe, I'm looking at starting my own podcast. What's the best mic? What's the best chair? What's the best post-production? And so on.
True.
What I found, and I'll speak from my parents only, is that they associated questions with basically displaying their ignorance publicly, and they would not do it. They wanted to save face, so they were not curious. Because curiosity meant
big word there. Big word.
Yeah, somebody in your circle is going to let everybody else know that you didn't know. So the gossip network in a very small, insular, English-speaking West Indian community was that if you were shamed for your ignorance. And for that reason, to save face, no one's asking any questions. So you live and die with what you came to the table with. And it slowed a lot of people down. And with money, it was no different. You would ask your friend at church, are you going to buy Canada savings bonds? They would say, yes, I'm going in line to go buy my bonds. Why? Because we're creating wealth by, the most expensive investment mechanism to be taxed by is interest. Interest gets taxed at 100%. 100% of the interest you make in the bank is taxable. The next thing is capital gains. 50% of what you earn on a capital gain, which is the profit between what you bought something for, what you sold it for, you made a profit. 50% of that profit is taxable. The other 50% belongs to you. So that's 50% capital gains. You only get that with investments. So blacks don't have a lot of capital gains because they're not doing investments. And then the third way to make money and get taxed is dividends. And dividends, which are profit sharing with the companies, get taxed at the lowest amount in the industry. So what do? We do interest, get taxed at 100%. Have our money in savings accounts, have our money in bonds, have our money in GIC, paying maximum tax. Then, because we're not in the stock market, we don't get any capital gains. And because we are afraid of stocks of companies we use. Rogers is a stock. Rogers has a dividend.
Right.
Yes.
RBC is a stock. You've been lining up every Thursday when you got your check for the last 40 years.
With the
but you don't have any
dividend.
RBC stock. It pays a dividend. You get on a train every year to go to and from Toronto and Montreal with Via Rail. Via Rail has a dividend. So because we don't understand and we're afraid to show we don't understand, we don't grow. Because we have so many people depending on us back home, right? Like birds in a nest waiting for us to come back with a worm that we can't afford. We can't afford to have our nest egg, so to speak, crash on the ground.
Or just locked away.
Or locked away. So it's tough.
Thing is when people say, and the TV show Atlanta touched on this, where the guy had $1,000 and his friend took it and is like invested it. He's like, listen, I'm too broke to be investing. So you can't talk to people that need to spend that money about locking it away in something that might take 2 to 4 years to bring returns, or like you said, dividends that are just a fraction of what is sitting there. Like, oh, just give me back the money because I need to spend it on something. And you mentioned the names of companies that we use. Enbridge is one that came to mind because when I got that bill, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna own this. Like, and they paid dividends as well. So it was interesting how you named those.
So we're flying here, and I just want to shout out some people on Instagram. The official author Angie Hay the Dr. LJ Speaks. Hey, simply a new Mies. Hey, you're watching the Morning Vibe Friday morning, May 5th. We are breaking it down with Wayne Harris, having a great conversation. I'm going to be shutting it down soon on IG Live. Go over to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube to catch the full conversation. A few things that you mentioned, Wayne, about a team. And I go back to CEO Global when there was a presentation being done by this gentleman who used to be a VP of Volvo Worldwide. And one of the things he said is, have a good team because your team covers your blind spots.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Huge. I just went poof, poof, big time. And, and being curious. The way I'm moving forward these days is being curious and asking questions.
100%.
I get my ego out of the way because too many people don't want to ask questions. Like you said, a lot of our parents, they don't want to look, oh, I don't know this. But isn't it funny? A lot of times when you ask questions, especially in public, there are about 10 people that wanted to ask the same question, but they were afraid to.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
I find with my family, if you ask a question and then they'll dog you that, oh, you don't, and this is, I'm like talking to my uncles, like, oh, you don't know that, move from here. But then if you press, they don't know either.
They don't know.
Like, they're making fun of you because they're saying like, oh, you don't know, but it's like a defense mechanism because they don't know. So it's like you have to get
right.
And then that's where we should say like, okay, let's go find out instead of razzing each other. Let's actually go get the information.
Yeah. So let's catch up on some comments here. Agreed. Christopher Lawrence says, I think that a best investment is to real estate buy and hold. Mm-hmm. And then also, all right. Fitness IQ Cam says, yes, leveraging is a new concept as well. So catching up on the earlier comment that Ray had made about, from Jamaica and Guyana who migrated as crime. And then he finished it up here. Corruption and political chaos ensued in Canada. Those two sets of migrant groups rarely connected.
Oh, yes, yeah. There is a healthy bigotry, class bigotry between the diaspora, between the educated and the so-called unwashed masses. And they don't want you living in the same neighborhood. They don't want to live in the same neighborhood. They don't want their kids going to the same schools. And they do what they can to separate. Now, they want to benefit from everything that's going on within the community. So when there's positions for the government or vote for me and whatnot, then they want the black vote. But they don't want you living in the same neighborhood as them. They do a lot of things to separate themselves. Now, that's not everybody. There's a lot of the educated who understand that, what W.E.B. Du Bois talks about, the talented 10%, and you're supposed to come back and lift others up. But as you can see in America, the American successful black sports star entertainer isn't going back to where they were from and improving the block. What they're doing, to Dr. Umar, who's not always on point, but what they do is they come back in nice cars and nice jewelry and show off to people that they made it out as individuals, but they're not practicing what Dr. Claude Anderson would say, which is powernomics and group economics.
Right.
So that's a conversation for another time. But what I want you to understand is this: the identity you have with money will guide you or stifle you. And if you look at keeping promises to yourself, people come to Canada for many reasons, but most of them are to get away from, again, crime, corruption, war, whatever, as well as to be that beacon of hope for those who are back home. My father and mother sponsored my grandmother on my father's side, my first cousin, my aunt, another first cousin, and they were just bringing people to Canada to give them the opportunity. Right. So they had a choice. They could have bought a house or they could invest in people. They chose to invest in people.
Right.
And then those people started sending money back home. So when I got back to Barbados and I saw what all those barrels, where they went, and all that money, where it went, I saw how my cousins were living. They were living better than me. Right? I'm like, hey, what's going on here? How are you living so well? Well, they're living well because we're sending back Canadian dollars to Barbados dollars, and it translates well in their favor. And when my father was in the States, they were sending back US dollars, which were translating at an even better rate. All of that to say, that since the barrels have stopped, the children of the barrel, I believe there's a book called The Children of the Barrel. The children of the barrel haven't really done anything for themselves, because what we've been doing is fishing for them rather than teaching them how to fish. And it's the same thing with what I'm doing with finance. When I sit down with a family, I go through their finances. Sometimes they're going through their finances for the first time in their life. They didn't know. And I'm like, does this number look correct at the end of the month for you? And they go, yeah. I had no idea I was spending so much on Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, and oxtail Saturday, roti Sunday, pizza Friday, and Starbucks on a daily. They didn't know they were dropping $300, $400 a month in takeout, $100 a week, no problem. They're spending more on takeout than they're spending on their monthly car.
Wow.
Yes. Wow.
And they see it for the first time, and I go, they say, I have no money to invest. You have money to invest. It's in your belly digesting. It's called oxtail. Oxtail's $18. All right? $18.
For a small.
For a small.
With no drink.
No drink. All bones. And you have to beg for coleslaw.
Right.
Okay?
It's in your belly. Harris, you're so wrong.
So what I want our people to understand is there's a tendency of what I call learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. Hey, you know what? Woe is me. I was listening to something on Instagram, and they talked about the bigotry of low expectations. I'm not supposed to do well, right? It's what some people say to themselves. We are of all groups in the United States, because Canada doesn't do race-based statistics, but the Americans do. If you look at all the groups they list, at the top of the list is the South Asian or Indian.
Yep.
At the bottom of the list is the black man, and we've been here for 400 years. So my point is, what all you have to do is look at the 16 other groups above you, including the Hispanics, and say, what are you doing differently? And if you look at what they're doing differently and take that inventory, and you say, what are you doing better? What do you focus on? Latinos have figured out that skilled trade is something Americans don't want to do, white Americans anyway. So we're going to go in there. We're going to become the carpenters, the plumbers, the electricians, the tilers, right? The drywallers, the remover of popcorn ceiling removers. We're going to do all the things, the gardeners, the landscapers. We're going to do the things white Americans don't want to do. And we're going to own that lane, and we're going to teach our people that with their hands, they can get up on any given day and make money. We say, as blacks, we're going to go to university. Okay, go to university. But if you're going to go to university, if you're not going to be a lawyer, you better be in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And if you're not going to be a lawyer or in STEM, university might not be the best option for you, because it's a bag of debt for a document that does not and has not, for now 2 generations, guarantee your success. I'm not saying it never did, but that's your parents' generation. Not our generation. And people still have their parents' perspective on what a university degree means and how you can monetize it. And after you drop $100,000 to come out with a liberal arts degree, and you find out that you're a barista, it's not by surprise, it's by design. So I'm not going to disparage the arts. We need the arts. But as a culture, as a people, that should not be our focus to change a generational wealth model in the shortest period of time. But people say, I don't have a passion for it. Listen, I didn't have a passion for a lot of things I did, but I did them because I am a father, I'm a husband, and I had to get it done. I had expectations, higher expectations for myself than anybody else had for me. And because of those things, I made certain decisions to make certain moves to put myself and my family in a better position. And that's where we are today. So I want the people listening here to understand, that there are no secrets. If you don't want to read the books, if you don't want to go onto YouTube University or Google University and figure it out, and now with Chat GPT, you can ask the exact same questions you want without anybody judging you and get the answer you want and follow through. I was watching, again, something on Instagram where the girl said, I want Chat GPT to design my day. Chat GPT told her when to wake up, what to eat for breakfast to have the maximum energy, what she should listen to while she studies at university, when she should study, time of day, what to wear based on the weather, right? ChatGPT designed her entire day. She said it was one of her best and most productive days ever because she knew exactly what to do and when. And people like prescriptions, right? They want prescriptions. Tell me exactly what I need to do to lose my belly. Tell me exactly what I need to do to lose weight. Tell me exactly what I need to do to earn more money. They want prescriptions. Well, guess what? The robots are here, and the robots are going to give you the information fed into it by the robot makers.
Okay.
I want people to understand that the robot makers don't look like you.
Right.
That's right.
It's not in there.
And the algorithm makers.
And the algorithm makers. So understand that you can take some things from ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is and other AI, we had that conversation last week, will not know the context of your particular situation.
Yeah.
The localization of the data. Go ahead.
We're gonna stop here. I'm gonna end it off on IG because I could let it go on forever and ever, but I'm just sending out love to the IG folks. Again, if you want to watch the full conversation, jump over to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Thanks everyone who jumped in, and we will see you soon. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. All right, now let's get back on this side. We got to catch up on a whale of comments, even with bonus time. So, Bashi Kid says, "Good morning." Elemental Note says, so many cultures come here as immigrants with nothing and begin building generational wealth for their kids. I found that this is not usually the case in Afro Caribbean community, which is sad. She also says, and morning, prestigious gentlemen.
Yes.
Fitness IQ says, honestly, I'm about if you can't beat them, join them unless you want socially conscious stocks, index funds, ETFs. Elemental Note says, yes, Ryan. Mark Lewis says, good morning, Bashi Kid and Wayne. He's given standing ovations here. Dr. Tachi says, this is fascinating. By the way, Dr. Tachi, have you reached out to Wayne yet? Last time he was on, you said you were going to reach out to him.
Okay.
All right, I'm just going to leave that there.
Right.
She says, trust us, you don't want to be on this side of the border. Mark Lewis, mine rhymed with the tires. LOL.
Credit card?
Yes. Christopher says, I think with the speed of life, we need to spend more time about the here and now. What our parents were living in were different times. Seeing that everything is more advanced, we can speak more about how to live and remain self-sufficient. Hayden says, thank you so much, Wayne. OMG, that's so true about our parents. Some of the kids, myself included, had to learn to break the pattern. Fitness IQ goes, Enbridge has beautiful dividends as well.
Yes.
Breaking that pattern indeed. Annette, I think you're a first timer. Annette, wonderful points, Mr. Harris. Fitness, I definitely need a good team. We all do. Christopher says, the history is spoken more than the here and now. Meanwhile, are we advancing? Are we owning? Are we creating? Where are our banks, our car technology, etc.? Laura Lala Key chimes in, international realtor. Follow her on Instagram. She's actually offering properties in Portugal.
Okay.
Yeah, Portugal's on fire. Portugal's on fire.
Yes. Teddy Evans, good morning. Right back to you. Ray says, I first got into financial services sector in 1994. I prospected mainly within the Afro-Canadian community. Most were too arrogant to listen. My experience with other ethnicities was different. And people are loving your oxtail analogy, Ray. LOL, it's called oxtail. Elemental Notes goes, why, Wayne, why are you so feisty? And I've known Wayne, he's always been like that. It's not just for this program, family. He's always, in a good way, he's always been like that. Yes, Christopher Lawrence, drop the mic. I'm never eating oxtail again. Lord God.
I can't promise that. Sorry.
Heather Harris, You have got jokes. Telling the truth, Wayne. Again, people, they're laughing at the
Listen,
Dr. Tachi says this makes a lot of sense. She said, I'm just trying to get all the clients comments caught up. Thank you. We do need the arts, says the singer. Yes. Dr. Tachi says, yes, not by design, it's by design. Like that quote from Wayne. Heather Harris, we have to remember to build on those things that paved the way for other groups in Canada. Our ancestors built the foundation that gave the rights to all, especially Black porters. Bashy Kids, yes, Oxtail, LOL to Fitness IQ. Ted, wow, ChatBT is revolutionizing things. Watch the conversation from a week ago with Terry Johnson. And she's going to come back on a regular basis. And also, you should also follow gentleman Perry Douglas. They know a lot about that. Laura Key says, I use ChatGPT to time block my day. There is no excuse not to take some kind of action. Heather says, have to stop letting other people create our narratives. Elemental notes, shots fired, Dr. Tachi. Trevor Dunlop goes, learned helplessness is hurting us as a community, and we need to appreciate community economics.
Right.
Dr. Tachi says, yeah, I mean, damn. and Wayne's goes, Wayne's got all the kung fu. If you know, you know. Now, there is actually a question on all of this, too. But those are all those comments. I had to catch up because I would have been an hour behind. So, Elemental Notes has a question for you. What would you say is the best place to start teaching our children how to build their wealth themselves?
Yes. Listen, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, children would go out and put out the lemonade stand and sell lemonade for 5 cents and learn the transaction, how to give change, how to count. Someone gives you $1, it costs 5 cents. You have to give them 95 cents, change it to count out the quarters and nickels and the dimes. So it's teaching you how to count. It's teaching you how to manage your inventory. It's teaching you about your supply chain. You send your little brother, go make some more, put some more sugar in that bad boy, right? And you were supply chain management. You were doing logistics. Could I get the lemonade from the kitchen out the front door to the front lawn? Set up the table, 2 chairs, right, and be in the shade, not in the sun. You're figuring out logistics, supply chain, inventory management, sales, cost of goods sold. You're running a business. Most people who are entrepreneurs started out with a paper route because the first chance you get to really have your own money and your own see the fruits of your own production and your own labor as a minor. Now, remember, 100 years ago, 3-year-olds were chimney sweeps in England, right? Child labor was a thing. Paper routes are child labor, but paper routes give you an opportunity to see what you can do for yourself, not depending on allowance from your parents. Most entrepreneurs, if you ask them what they started out with lemonade stands or paper routes. It's no surprise that Ryan is an entrepreneur because he had a paper route. There's no surprise I'm an entrepreneur because I had a paper route.
Right.
I've been getting paid since I was 8 years old, so I wasn't depending on anybody during high school to buy me my clothes. If I wanted those Jordache jeans, well, I didn't wear Jordache, but we had Lee jeans. Lee's were the thing, because if you were a Run DMC fan, Lee jeans were your thing. You go to New York or to Brooklyn, you go to Modell's, you get your shoes, all right, and then you go to the mall, you get your Lee jeans, right, in the colors that nobody had back in Montreal. The burgundies and the orange and the green, because all we had up there was blue, gray, and black. Canada was so boring. So you had to take it under your own energy, right? Teach your children that somebody somewhere in their neighborhood needs to do something. I have a young lady that I know. Her son is I think 9 or 10 years old. He went to every neighbor who's seen him from the time he was born and said, "I will shovel your driveway before school." He made $500.
Right.
He's nine. And he used his mother's shovel. So the cost of goods was free.
Yes, zero.
Okay. And then he went and said, "I will get the salt and I will salt it. You pay me for the bag of salt." So now what is he doing? He's raking leaves and cleaning up the yards because people are just starting to get their yards together. He's going to do that. And when he gets old enough, he'll get a little electric mower with zero footprint. And he's going to go with an electric motor with 2 or 3 batteries. And he is going to go up and down that block. And listen, this is Dufferin and Bloor. The lawns in the front are 15 feet by 15 feet.
Yep.
He can bang that off in 5-10 minutes times 10 people on the block. He's going to be a millionaire. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because he's learned that he can control his income. You want that PlayStation 5? He's willing to go out there and earn it. We need to teach our kids not to wait for mommy and daddy to take care of business, but for them to go out and take care of business themselves. And rather than giving them the answer, let them use their very vivid imaginations. We're the only mammals on the planet that have imagination. Let your children come up with ideas and brainstorm with you. Now, if it's going to put them in harm's way, that's why you're a parent. But obviously, there's some things they can do. Say, what about a little drink? What about a little mobby stand? You know, people don't know anything about mobby, right? Some people like it bitter. Some people like it sweet.
Hey, a lot of non-mellow people didn't know about patties, and they all know about it now.
Exactly. So you can buy a box of patties. You know, shout out to Randy's Patties when Randy's was around. But you could buy a box of patties, frozen, put them in your parents' oven, cook them up,
and sell them.
Go outside and sell patties $1 each with a lemonade, $1.50, and everybody in your block will buy it on a sunny day.
Yep.
Because you're a cute little kid doing free enterprise.
Hey, go to any construction site and sell food right there.
All day.
Save some time. Look, I don't know if they still do, but they used to have those catering trucks used to come to construction sites.
Yes.
Yep, still do.
Still do.
And they never have patties.
No.
Yeah.
Right? So
let's go ahead, Wayne.
Come up with some ideas. Listen, we're at 10 o'clock. We're in bonus time, 10:06. I want to get a couple of points down.
Okay, do you want more? I got some more comments. You want your points down, and then we'll do the comments, or what do you want to do?
Do the comments.
Okay, let's do the comments. So, Fitness IQ Cam says, I must say this: Black Moms Connection had a financial summit last weekend. Free event, free parking and food. Yet the turnout was low, even though they had a viral option. What will it take? Well, I'm going to say a few things. It was on the weekend. Did they do any marketing through Black media? I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Right.
Okay, I'm just going to leave that because I didn't hear from them. I'm not saying, and the family that comes on here, they are a lot of influencers. They can spread that message out to a lot of people. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Next up, I've been taking a deeper dive into financing. Thank you, Wayne. Your knowledge is helping a clearer path. Dr. Vibe is helping more people than you know. Well, it's myself and Ryan and Wayne. But why don't you do the next step? Why don't you book an appointment with Wayne? Hello. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I'm starting to come at you guys now because I have to do it myself. Dr. Bash KD, that's part. Fitness IQ says, learned entrepreneurship from my folks, actually. My folks invested in a business. My bro and I spend time at that business. Good. Lala's Divine says, I agree. There's a point of my day where I go into quiet mode on IG and log off Facebook. You should do it a lot.
Yeah, you need thinking time. Just
yes.
Think
Fitness IQ Camp says, sorry, I mean that what it will take for our community to set time to learn about financial literacy, personal finance. Also, there was a free babysitting session too. Again, Black media. Thank you. All right. Okay. Wayne's Ray says the first step to changing the wealth trajectory is building strong 100% family and neighborhoods. And you know me, family, I don't believe there's a Black community. There are Black neighborhoods. I'm not saying, I'm just saying learning is mostly by osmosis. That dispersion of Afro-Canadians randomly is limiting to growth. Fully agree. Dr. Bashi says, could use a Naki and Saltfish patty right now. Yes to selling patties, Dr. Dachi. Fitness IQ. I love seeing kids selling during Caravana. Well, it would be nice if Caravana was financially solvent, but that's a whole other conversation. And myself and Wayne know a gentleman named Ricardo McCrae. He could talk to you a lot about that, but that's a whole other conversation.
Okay.
Divine Right. My mother told me she supported me whether I went to college or not, as long as I did what I wanted to do. Thankful she broke the cycle. Although I went to college, there was no pressure. Roger Dundas, ouch, Black media. Well, you know I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
These days, I'm coming a little strong because you know what? I'm just at the point. I'm just going to say what I think. Christopher Lawrence, big up Ryan Knight, Trevor Dunlop. Hey, another paper route. I too had a paper out in my first year in the UK. You also get to see the wealthy lifestyle that helps you learn to dream up and inspire to something better. Love that point.
Right.
Love that point. Okay, Fitness IQ Camp actually was sold out and people didn't show up.
Because that's what I thought. I saw a note that it was sold out.
Yeah.
So my question would be, did people have to pay or was it free?
Free.
It
And
was
did
free.
It was free, but the thing is, were they offering, especially on the online, the replay available? Like, why? No, everyone has their own prerogatives, as Bobby Brown would say. Right. Dr. Bashi says drooling. I guess that Atkins saltfish patty is making you on your mind. And then Miss Weed Wiki Cannabis Educator. Great to see and listen to Wayne Harris here. There you. Oh, Cannabis Educator. We'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, she knows her stuff. Trust me.
Would love to have her. Hey, would love you to come on the platform. And Fitness IQ, it was free. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, maybe they don't need black, but I sure would say that did they do any appearances on Black Media to promote the event? I don't know. All right. And Dr. Bashi Katie says, thanks for the invite, Wayne. Okay. They're still coming. There is a replay. Well, then that's why maybe people didn't come. Maybe they shouldn't offer a replay, or maybe what they should have done was charge people. And when you pay, you get the replay. Maybe. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. All right.
Wayne, so let's
thanks for allowing me to catch up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Let's bring it home.
Yep.
First of all, I want to tell you this: the Americans are going to raise their interest rates this month, and they have raised it 11 times in the last year.
Wow.
So what I want to say is this: it comes from a show I have not watched, but I've heard a lot about. Winter is coming. Economic, financial, inflation, winter is coming. Inflation winter is already here. So what I'm going to ask you to do are the following things. One, I want you to look at every debt you have. Put them on the kitchen table. Those of you who are doing it online, write them down somewhere, or create a spreadsheet in Excel for all your debts and the interest rate you're paying, what the minimum payment is, and what you're paying. All hands on deck to get rid of all credit card debt immediately, because it's going to be a protracted, high inflationary period of time with a recession that's deeper than what you are already experiencing right now. Remember, when recessions come, there's high inflation and high unemployment. And we mentioned at the beginning of the show that companies are laying off in droves. Why? Because labor is 70% of the cost of production, which is why slavery lasted for 400 years, because it had free labor for 400 years. Okay, get rid of your debt. I need you to keep up with your bills so that your credit does not get crushed during this time. You want to keep your bills paid. If you can't pay your bills, you need to call the companies and make sure these companies understand your situation. Because of COVID, they're a little more lenient today. And see if you can get them to stop calculating interest against you, because interest is the devil if it's working against you. It's God if it's working for you, but it's the devil if it's working against you.
Right.
Next, I want you to work on your personal health. It's very stressful these days, right? I'm finding that employers, because they know they have you by the short and curlies, are squeezing and causing you stress that is unwarranted, as they use their limited power and control over your life. Now, you as an employee have decided to put all your eggs in one basket, and that basket is dropping all around you. Maybe your basket's going to drop too. If you don't have a side hustle, if you don't have a secondary form of income to protect yourself from a boss who may not like the color of your skin, wants their friend to keep the job versus you, because they have a better relationship with them, you better have a secondary form of income coming in. I don't care what you do, but you need to do something to have a secondary form of income coming in, especially if you are working in a company that is in a sector that you've seen everybody around you get laid off. You know it's coming to you.
Right.
And the last thing is, understand that the house prices that are going on right now, and Ray McMillan can speak more to this. The cost of buying a house is still insane in this province, and the cost to get in is still insane. It's 5% money to get a house versus 1.5 and 2% just 18 months ago. So when I hear the comments about you got to buy a house, you got to buy a house, you got to buy a house, listen. If you're going to buy a house, make sure that house has a unit that can bring in rent, because there's 400,000 people coming into Canada every year for the next 3 years. And if you have a basement apartment that's retrofit, that the fire department's okay with, you can help reduce the amount of people looking for spaces to live, and you can reduce your mortgage by maybe half by having that renter come in. Now, be careful with the renter. Be careful with the renter, because in this province, renters win, not landlords.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
So when you're gonna do, don't just do a credit check, do a criminal background check, because some professional tenants who don't pay their bills, and you can't get them out because they're all backed up in the landlord-tenant tribunals to get these.
Yes. They have 40,000 cases backed up.
Right.
I heard yesterday.
Right. So is real estate the answer? Real estate is one of the answers that should be a part of your portfolio, but don't let real estate fool you, because I can make 12-15% of my money without a tenant. Right? Houses are going up 9-10% every year, but I can make 9-10% without having a tenant, without having to fix a pipe, without having to cut grass, without having to fix a roof. I can make 12%. So I'm not saying don't go into real estate, but I'm saying if you're going to be in real estate, make sure that real estate is cash flowing for you. Okay? It's not just you not that the bank taking your mortgage from you. You want money coming in. And Ray is the godfather of that.
I like that. The godfather. I like that. Godfather.
And I'm going to end on that, Dr. Vibe and Ryan.
All right. Well, look,
much appreciated.
Ray, I keep on saying Ray Wayne. Sorry, I get these things, and both of them have shiny heads, so I should know better. But Ray, I keep on saying Wayne.
The other black guy.
This one has superseded all of them today. All of them. And the energy was just good. And first of all, if you want to meet with Wayne, like people like Dr. Tachi and Christopher should, there's his contact. And I'm just playing with you, family. I know life happens, but half an hour with him will give you a lot of clarity. And he doesn't care if you take the action or not. He just wants to put the information in your lap. So folks here, you've seen the knowledge bombs that Wayne's been dropping, and like when he comes on, he blows up the platform in a good way.
Yes.
So I would just say, if anyone, please just make an appointment. Just make an appointment, because like I said, the economic winds are not looking good for the rest of the year. And it's very interesting. It was about a year ago, you heard about quiet quitting, employees quiet quitting. Now companies are quiet firing.
Oh boy.
Right? They're quiet firing because realize during the pandemic, a lot of companies realize, hey, we don't need as much manpower as we did in the past. So we got to make sure our bottom line is good. So we need you less. So we don't need you. We could, during the pandemic, we survived, and we can find better ways. Again, like family, just a perfect example. Amazon is buying 1,000 robots a day. Why? They don't go on strike. They don't have to negotiate. They don't take breaks.
Yeah.
Right? I'll single out a company, Starbucks. One time, always known as really power to their employees and all that. Do you know how much labor hassles, like how much they block their stores or their employees going to unions? I think these three men, one day, if we go into a Starbucks, I don't, If we go into a Starbucks, the barista will be a robot.
I don't doubt it. The technology is there to do it.
Right. The barista.
At least the robot will wash his hands.
Roger Dundas says, I think the only solution to the housing crisis is to move to parts of Canada where homes are cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ray's a big proponent of that. Ray's a big proponent of that.
No lies told. In certain parts of the GTA, you can build these small, tiny homes in your backyard or where your garage is, and put houses on top of your garage, so you can have density in those neighborhoods that are close to subway and public transit. So there's a push for that as well. So we're going to build more where we are, but also other provinces and other cities are an option as well. Like, all of a sudden, Bowmanville's hot. Listen, Bowmanville to me, next exit's Montreal, but Bowmanville is hot. Everybody wants to be in Bowmanville because you can get a real house for what used to be an Ajax price now in Bowmanville.
Gotcha.
And next step is Port Hope. So you can imagine people commuting from Port Hope to downtown Union Station every morning, an hour and a half on the train one way. It's going to happen.
Well, hey, be smart and be a virtual worker, and
Correct.
you can do your stuff anywhere.
Unless you don't have the internet service run by it rhymes with Dodgers. Because holy, all I do is pay for gigabit service. Could I just get gigabit service consistently?
Right.
That's all I'm asking.
Like, they promised it.
Oh my gosh. So just ended up, Trevor says, critical for property investors to do major due diligence with property and tenants in Ontario. Yep. Roger Dundas says interest rates are all the same across Canada. Housing prices are not. New Brunswick is calling. Roger was just out in the east, so he can give you some deep dive on that.
Yeah.
And then Finance IQ Kansas, that's almost the option, Roger. Miss Weed Wiki Cannabis Educator, the goal line is supposed to get extended past Oshawa. They're gonna have no choice.
Yes.
Antoinette says Bowmanville, Dundalk, places you went to go for a weekend getaway are now places that you go to live.
Wow. Yes.
Fitness IQ laughing. And then there's one last question. This may wait till the next one, but it's troubling because more folks are coming to town, but with more job shortages and more higher priced homes in local areas, what will Toronto look like in 5 years? Oh gosh. What does Toronto look like in 5 minutes?
Yeah, Toronto is going to be, of the 1.2 million people that come to Canada, over 60% are going to settle in the GTA.
Yep.
And that is going to create more traffic, more infrastructure requirements, and more construction. You see what's happening with the subway. And
don't talk to me about the Eglinton LRT.
Yeah,
you don't want to go there right now.
They just broke ground on the Ontario line too.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
but
we have a lot going on, and I think that Toronto is the hub for Canada's economy. Staying in Toronto makes sense if you have bought into Toronto when Toronto was reasonable. Staying in Toronto when my son is 24 years old, I would not recommend him to buy anything within 100 kilometers of the CN Tower.
Wow.
I wouldn't recommend it because he will be in his 40s before he sees any daylight. All he has to do is change geographies, and he can live the life I lived. To Roger's point, if he were to go to New Brunswick, or he were to go to Manitoba, or he were to go to Newfoundland, he'd be able to do what I did. But he will not be able to do that unless he doubles my income. $50,000 in 1971 is $300,000 today to do the same thing. Now, I don't know anybody with a university degree coming out making $300,000.
Right.
So you have a problem. Inflation is working against you. The only thing you can do is change geographies. Now, there are a number of countries, including Portugal, who say if you want to immigrate and you can show me you have passive income, you come work in Portugal with their high-speed internet, and you can work virtually from there. Barbados is saying come down for a year and rent a spot on the beach and work from there because it's the same time zone. So there's lots of options, but in terms of the traditional way of buying real estate and having equity in the most expensive market in Canada requires some finesse and some out-of-the-box thinking. Ray McMillan is the man for that.
There you
Because
go.
I can see my son living in Toronto, renting, but
Mhm.
buying his assets in the United States or in another part of Canada that has a landlord-focused regime. Because if it's a tenant-focused regime, you can put people in and they can live for 6 months rent-free without, and you can't do anything. Ask me how I know.
Whoa.
All right. All right. We're gonna get right out quick with the last comments
That's
here.
rough.
Ray says, before you go buying homes in less expensive cities, you may want to do some research.
Yes.
Miss Weed Wiki, cannabis educator, watch for racism in different parts. Nova Scotia has never been historically kind to Black folks, so exercise your due diligence. Hashtag Africa wasn't too long ago.
Africville.
Africville, sorry.
They bulldozed it.
Christopher, I'm moving to the islands next week. Not before you call Wayne Harris, please.
It's probably Center Island. Stop it, Christopher. Stop it. Stay right here. Stay right here.
There. You didn't go there.
Come on.
Roger says racism is everywhere in Canada.
Facts.
Absolutely. All right. McRae says increased crime, Christopher. Take a look at the amount of $1 million car theft rings and the face of the criminals.
Correct.
Fitness IQ and car theft in the GTA is ridiculous right now.
100%.
Yeah, Fitness IQ camp. Manitoba. Shell says, that's what Barbados said?
Yes.
Tim Frey, I'm working from Barbados in September to November and January. 1 month there, 1 month here.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Yeah.
McLuhan Group, great point, Wayne. Rent where you live and invest elsewhere. Fitness IQ says Baja Center Islands. Christopher goes hashtag Center Island. And Miss Weed Wiki, Canada said racism is everywhere, but I don't live in Quebec anymore for a reason.
Facts.
Okay.
Right.
Ray, I keep on saying Ray. Wayne, why do I get these two mixed up?
Listen, Ray, we know Ray is your spirit animal. I get it.
No, I'm
not mad at you.
I'm visually both having both of you on. I got to come back to that.
Ray helped me level up my game. I come on to this show dressed like I'm ready for Bay Street. Thanks, Ray. Shout out to the Godfather.
Yes.
The Godfather. All right. Wayne, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. This one is like the new standard. This was amazing. I hope you had a good time.
Yes. Always a pleasure, Dr. Vibe. And Ryan, appreciate you guys giving me access to this platform to let people know that, hey, you're not alone. And what you're going through is not unique to you. All problems have solutions. As one of the ladies says from B School, everything is figure outable and we can figure things out. All we need to do is be humble enough and set our ego aside to defer to someone that is further along the path that you say you want to be on, and then listen to what they say to you if you can understand that they're coming to you from an intentionality of you leveling up, not to condemn you, not to be condescending, but to help you level up. That's the spirit in which I deliver my information. If it doesn't come across that way, please let me know. But I want everyone who listens to these shows to be better the next time we see you in June. That you should have done something in the last 30 days to make your life better in regards to what was discussed here today.
100%.
All right. Make it all about getting your ego out of the way, make a decision, and take action.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Much appreciated.
Care. Wow.
Loved it.
Wow. Okay. Oh, the Fitness IQ says, "LOL, keys don't want my car." Well, you may think that, but yeah, no, they have certain cars.
Good. That's why, drive the hoopty.
Ray says, "This is Ray supposed to I'm talking about now." Yes, the great conversation, gentlemen. Fitness IQ, amazing conversation. Fitness IQ Cam, waiting for Wayne to come on my show too. Well, you're robbing my guests. That's okay. Wayne says, "Happy Cinco de Mayo." All right, family, this was epic.
Loved it.
This is what I love when the family drives the conversation. You know, they drive the ship. We just steered because we could have gone on for another half an hour easily. Easily. What's happening this weekend, Ryan?
What is happening this evening? I guess the second phase of First Fridays. So the networking event First Fridays is happening tonight. If you want to see me in person, I'll be in Brampton at Pier 120. Also at the BBPA office downtown, Warren Salmon will be doing First Fridays from there. And it's the Get Your Idea funded. So we have, I believe, between 5 to 10 entrepreneurs pitching their ideas to the panel in hopes of, one, getting good feedback from investors and potentially getting some investment. So looking forward to tonight. And the weekend's pretty quiet. Although Sunday I'll be in Thunder Bay. So we're working on Detail Ignites expanding out there. So I'll be flying over to Lake Superior.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Well, look, family, thanks. Epic conversation day. For me, I'll be doing Black Canada Talking live on Sunday. We're doing a replay of State of Things, Aisha, Jill, and Lala, because I'm actually attending a couple's wedding anniversary tomorrow. So yes, I do take breaks.
Nice.
Coming up next month. Okay, I just got a message. This is good. Oh, so a few things. Next week, Buy Blacks, Black Restaurant Week. Get ready, get ready, get ready. So there it is. Coming up next week on the Morning Vibe, we're talking to some of the restaurants involved with buyblacks.com Restaurant Week Spring Edition. So get your belly on. Get the oxtail out of your belly. Next Monday and Friday, we've got restaurants going on. Anything else?
No, looking forward to Restaurant Week.
Restaurant Week. Looking forward to that. I could go to bed right now.
Yes.
So Roger says, what time do you start, Ryan? I guess they're asking about the First Fridays.
Yeah. Networking starts at 7, but the pitches will start 8 o'clock. So it's like 8 to 9 or 10.
Okay. And also asking, what time is this and what's the address, Ryan? So I guess for both locations. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if Elemental is going to go to Brampton, but she's on.
I would hope so. Yes, come to Brampton. So
get your pass. Well, she's west of Yonge Street, so she doesn't need a passport. I'm the passport bearer. Yes, go on.
So Brampton near Dixie and Steeles, 120 Advance Boulevard, and downtown Toronto at 180 Elm Street, near Dundas and University is like the closest main intersection.
Okay. Yeah. Restaurant Week is May 15th to 21st. Something tells me I got the dates wrong. Did I get the dates wrong, Roger? If I did, my apologies.
Oh, so it's
21st. Yes. Okay.
Next week. Okay.
21st. My apologies, but I don't mind putting the wrong date because I want it to last longer. So I want it to last longer. So my apologies, Roger. Please forgive me if we got anything else here. Fitnet says, I'm about to take another, get rid of this migraine. Yeah, take a break, take a nap. That's one of my go-tos. Taking naps, especially if you're an entrepreneur, one of the go-to things. All right, we're done. Sweet. And replays, we've been showing it at the bottom. And Roger says May 8th and 12th are interviews on the Morning Vibe. So this coming Monday and a week from today, interviews, we're going to have enough restaurants on and some very interesting stories going on about restaurants out there. So it's there's some interesting things going on. All right. That's it, family. I'm not even going to say about where you can watch it because I've been showing it for the last few minutes. So read.
Yes.
All right. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time. Manage your energy. And always, especially for people who have a team or want to get a team, I said it earlier on, I think it's such a good message because most of us don't know money, but just have a team because remember, a team covers your blind spots.
Love that.
A team covers your blind spots. So everybody, we will see you on Monday. Breakfast with Buy Blacks on Monday. Take care, family. Bye.
Here we go.